Do you ever wonder where we go after this? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous?
Midweek check-in. Welcome to Modern Investing Techniques, episode 79. It's June 17th, 2026, and I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Midweek, let's reassess this week's positions and look for fresh setups. Quick reminder, everything we discuss here is for education and entertainment. The practice investment of the day uses simulated trades with no real money. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research before putting real money to work. CUSMA extension deadline approaches. Review any U.S. listed holdings in your RRSP now to manage potential tariff exposure. The S&P 500 closed at 7,511, down 0.6%. The NASDAQ finished at 26,376, lower by 1.2%. The TSX Composite edged up 0.3% to 35,390. Futures hint at a tech rebound after the recent chip sell-off, while oil steadies on hopes around Iran supply. Energy cyclicals and consumer names drew inflows, whereas healthcare lagged. Our simulated portfolio sits at a cumulative $396.68 across 34 trades for positive alpha of 21.2% versus the NASDAQ over the same span. With macro risks front of mind, let's look at a structural change that could reshape how Canadian investors access liquidity. Tokenization turns traditional stocks into blockchain-based tokens that trade around the clock with instant settlement. Major exchanges are exploring this for NYSE and NASDAQ names, which could cut overnight gaps that often hit Canadian holders of U.S. equities. For TFSA accounts, the route starts with watching approved platforms once regulators clear tokenized shares, then testing a small sleeve through a brokerage already handling digital assets. Custody and regulatory risks remain until North American rules catch up to European standards. The approach has historically helped during volatile periods by allowing T+0 settlement instead of waiting for regular market opens. Paper trading on any fractional share platform first helps you learn the mechanics without committing capital. While tokenization is still emerging, we can apply similar catalyst-driven thinking to today's simulated trade. Our practice investment of the day is a simulated weekly hold in ion beam applications on Euronext Brussels. This is strictly for learning and uses no real money. The catalyst is the announced leadership overhaul with a new CEO expected to speed up the commercial pipeline. The stock already rose 7% on the news, so we are watching for volume to stay above the 20-day average and a close above the recent swing high. We would set a 6% stop below entry because broader European equities could weaken if oil volatility spills over. The target range sits between 4 and 8% for the week if momentum confirms. This setup teaches waiting for both the fundamental trigger and confirming volume rather than chasing the first headline pop, exactly the scenario our earlier rule on volume confirmation flagged as important. Before we check how yesterday's trade performed, here's the key lesson this setup teaches. Yesterday, we simulated holding Eli Lilly from Monday's open at $1,159 to Friday's close at $1,160.95. The position gained 0.17%. That modest single stock gain still produced positive alpha because the NASDAQ fell over the same window. The result reinforces staying with a high conviction catalyst even when sector rotation pressures appear elsewhere. The takeaway is clear. Rule: require both a fundamental catalyst and a volume spike above the 20-day average before committing capital to healthcare launches. That discipline pairs well with choosing the right brokerage. Let's compare the main Canadian platforms. Picture buying a U.S. tech stock in your TFSA right after the open. Wealthsimple Trade gives a commission-free fill yet restricts advanced order types and international routing. Questrade charges modest commissions, offers free ETF purchases, and handles TSX and NYSE names smoothly on mobile. Interactive Brokers delivers the lowest margin rates and widest global access, but demands more comfort with a complex platform. Bank-owned options like TD Direct Investing tie neatly into checking accounts, yet carry higher per-trade fees that hurt smaller positions. Match the broker to your style. Frequent U.S. stock traders lean toward interactive brokers, while simpler ETF buyers often stay with Questrade or Wealthsimple. Always total all-in costs, including data fees and currency conversion before moving an account. As you evaluate platforms, keep an eye on these supporting tools entering the space. Bloomberg reports that major exchanges are actively exploring blockchain rails for equities, which would eventually give retail investors 24/7 trading and same-day settlement. Canadian users should watch for brokerage integrations that keep tokenized shares TFSA eligible. BitGo's new European platform supplies compliant custody and settlement tools for crypto firms ahead of July licensing deadlines. Active investors can access it indirectly through partner exchanges to lower counterparty risk once accounts clear verification. A few quick hits before we wrap with your action item. The formal window to extend CUSMA is closing, and that raises tariff uncertainty for cross-border supply chains. The Canada-United States-Mexico agreement faces a narrowing timeline for formal extension, according to BNN Bloomberg reporting. Cross-border supply chains in manufacturing and automotive sectors face direct exposure if tariffs re-emerge. Investors holding U.S.-listed names in registered accounts should examine supplier dependencies now. Setting price and news alerts for any further USMA developments provides an early warning system. The situation remains fluid, with political negotiations still underway on both sides of the border. Review remains the prudent first step before any position adjustments. Statistics Canada shows home ownership rising among recent immigrants, even as it fell for Canadian-born residents between 2018 and 2021. Data covering that 3-year span indicate recent immigrants narrowed the ownership gap, while overall Canadian-born rates declined. The trend appears in multiple provinces and points to shifting demographic demand patterns. Broad Canadian RIETs could see indirect benefits if the pattern continues into future quarters. Confirmation through upcoming data releases will clarify whether the shift represents a durable change. Investors considering REIT allocations should therefore wait for additional quarterly prints before increasing exposure. The Statistics Canada report provides the baseline measurement for tracking this development. The UAE is accelerating plans to remove reliance on the Strait of Hormuz for energy exports after the Iran peace deal. The Financial Post reports that infrastructure projects aim to bring Hormuz dependency to zero over the coming years. Current export routes remain concentrated through the narrow waterway despite ongoing diplomatic progress. Energy shipping companies with significant Gulf exposure could face volume shifts once new pipelines and terminals come online. Trimming concentrated positions in this subsector reduces single-point geopolitical risk until measurable completion milestones appear. Progress tracking will rely on official project updates and throughput statistics. Broader energy holdings outside the Gulf corridor remain less directly affected by this specific initiative. Finally, here's your concrete task before Friday's close. Open your brokerage app, locate one cross-border ETF you own, and check its currency hedging flag, plus any tariff-sensitive holdings disclosure. Before we wrap, check how currency moves affect any cross-border holdings you reviewed today, and note whether hedging changes your risk picture ahead of next week's data. That's your modern investing techniques for today. Every episode makes you a sharper investor. Subscribe, leave a review, and we'll be back tomorrow with more market intelligence. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NARA Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give Tesla Shorts Time a listen. Your daily deep dive into everything Tesla. You can explore the whole lineup at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
Do you ever wonder where we go after this? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous? Do you ever stay awake, counting sheep like all the time? What's your life like? What's your purpose? When's your birthday? What's your sign? Are you down right now? Are you stuck up in the past? Are you still thinking about all the times that you didn't last?